Good morning, everyone. This is Biz Chicks TV. This is the place where you can find tips and tools to help you do business better. We're
Mhm.
here to help you run a profitable business that's fun to run and to take the hassle out of your hustle. And today we're here with Coach Caren Fern all the way from Toronto, Canada. The coach is in the house. Thank goodness. We need to know more about how to manage our money better in our personal lives and in our business life. And we have a subject matter expert in the house. So you guys be sure to get your pencils and papers ready because the coach is going to be dropping some nuggets all the way from Canada to California. And we are excited about it. We just want to welcome you to the show. If you're not familiar with BizChicks TV, we are designed to help entrepreneurs and individuals who are interested in getting better at their finances, growing their businesses, and living life better. So, with
Exactly.
that, I want to introduce to some and present to others Coach Caren Fern from Toronto, Canada, who is a well-known entrepreneur, has bought and sold many businesses, and can definitely help you address your issues. So, Coach, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you, thank
It's
you,
so
thank
good
you as
to have
always
you
for the
in the
great
house.
intro.
Well, it's so good to have you in the house. And the truth needs to be told.
Right?
Truth needs to be told. So right now we're going to turn it over to you, Coach, and you can tell us what our subject is for today.
Okay.
And I am going to decrease so that you can increase.
Well, thank you, Terry. Thank you, thank you. All this month, guys, we're talking about profit margin. Last week, Fran and I covered, the beginnings, talking about profit margin. We talked about profit margins are the measurement of your business profitability. We talk a little bit about, I give examples about it. We talk about what you expect from every dollar that you put in, and what is your minimum requirement for yourself and your business. What
Hmm.
percentage of profit you feel that is good enough for you. And if you don't have a business yet, guys, and you're listening to this, you might want to start thinking, what is it for you? What's your profitability from your job? Because you went to work, you got paid. What's your profit from that? If you start looking at it that way, you'll see that you can gather some money, especially if you want to start a side hustle. And who doesn't want a side hustle right now? They should have always had it, but who doesn't want one right now? Something that'll put some dollars in your pocket and you're not feeling the squeeze, because everything is double in price. Nothing is where it used to be. So you need to be doing something else. All right. So first things first. Today we're going to talk about profit margins. Why they're so important? Like, right? Why is profit margin important? Is knowing your industry important? It is. What are the different type of profit margins? And there's a roost of them, so we're going to talk about a few.
Mm.
Operating profit, gross profit, and net profit. These are important things for me to be talking about. We want it to be in conversation so it's not painful to talk. Like how the money talk is hard to get out of the lips and the mind. And this is what we want to do. We want to be able to talking about it. We want to be able to see it. It's wonderful. If you're afraid of big numbers, start writing down a bunch of big numbers. Here's a quick win. To get yourself comfortable with money, profits, and that sort of thing, start looking at bigger numbers. If your mind has always just surrounded yourself with small numbers, but in your imagination, like, okay, I could get this and that. But if you see it on paper, it frightens you. Get it
Mhm.
on paper, write it down, get big numbers on papers, write it down, get used to it. One of the biggest thing I found in my arithmetic class, I'm going to take that class for example. When we would do addition, kids were fine. Subtraction, they were fine. But when we start getting into a lot of zeros, kids would fall off. And those were kids. And those kids have become adults and falling off when they get big numbers.
Mhm.
The more I look back at life, the more I see that, Terry.
I believe it.
When people say, I'm afraid about it, like, you were getting into the big numbers, you were having to do this and that. You are freaking out. And a long time ago, get a little snippet of a friend of mine. They wanted to make $10,000 a month. And this is years ago. Oh my gosh, it had to be. So it's over 20, not 20, I want to say over 50 years ago. That was their goal, 10,000 a month. And if they made 10,000 a month, they'll know that the company is doing well.
Okay.
And the day they made 20 to 10,000, she called me up. She told me we were celebrating like crazy. And my next move was with them. And at the time I'd owned a daycare, I said to them, okay, so what's the next goal? And they looked at me like if I was crazy, like, Karen, what are we talking about? We just got here. And I'm like, don't celebrate there too long because you're gonna pause, you're gonna slow down, you're gonna slip and slide right back down. And I don't think that they had comprehended. And in 3 months, it gone down to $8,000. It went down to seven. And there was a really good couple of friend of mine. So of course I am. Let's chat about what's going on because we talk about money. They weren't afraid to talk about money, but they were afraid of big numbers. But they didn't know they were afraid of the big number. I tell you, they didn't know until it hit them because we sabotage ourselves. Just let me clarify. When I said we, I'm included, when there's a number that we were working our way towards and we hit that number, we sabotage ourselves mentally, physically, emotionally to explain to this part of us, this little tiny part that we let rule us in that the number is too big for us. It's an uncomfortable feeling. If you're a millionaire getting to a billionaire, it's going to be the same process. Let me just tell you, in a different form. If you're a thousandaire and you're trying to get to 100,000, it's going to do the same thing to you in a different form. So take heed. Don't be worried and say, well, it's because, no, there's people who made a lot of money already and still is stuck at a certain number because they've been making that number. That's their comfortable bed. They understand to get to that number. They can talk your ear off about 10, 20, maybe even 40 something thousand a month number. But if you say you could make $100,000 a month, then they will freak out because even if they don't tell you, they'll freak out in their head, their mind, their body, and it transforms itself into something else. You can get sick. You can start getting headaches. You can heart palpitations. There is so many things that a lot of times the industry don't talk about that happens to people that slow them down. And it feels like burnout. It could be true burnout too. So let me not say that. But all these things will happen when you're making this next new giant step. And I want to really clarify that this is a real thing why people don't move forward. So it's nothing to grin at. I don't want you to think that I don't understand that you're in this position if you're in right now, or parts of you know. So it's protecting you by not opening you up to get there. So this protection thing is also happening. So don't be afraid of it. Don't feel like you can't do it. Just understand these are just things that happen in your job. So let me give what to do, because to say it and then say nothing, it's like I'm saying nothing. So let me tell you, when this happens, you have to give yourself grace, pause, rest, time out, whatever is needed to just be in the situation first, own it. You don't have to understand everything about it, but own the situation. This is where I'm at. This is what's happening to me. And ask what's my next move, and allow you to give you permission for the next move, and then do the next move. That's it. That's the next move. The next move might be a shower for you. The next move might be a cup of tea. The next move might be to go outside into the sunlight. Do it. It is so simple, the next move. It's nothing big and fancy. It's the simplest moves, because that one move will give you two other moves, but you're going to have to take the first move. That's the important step. And then you'll get to the other things. Maybe you need to seek help. You need coaching. You need the Biz Chicks. You need Karen. Either of us is here to help, but you need to understand these things about yourself. And once you get there, then you want to know, do I really want to put in the work to get help to get past this? Because this is a real question. Do I want to spend the time? Because most time people are looking at, do I have to spend all the money? No. Do I want to spend the time doing the work for the money I just spent to get the help? Do I want to spend the time doing the work for the money that I just spent for the help? Because it goes hand in hand. It's not a one-sided thing. All right. I'm off my soapbox. So why is profit margin important? It shows you that your business is growing or failing. Plain and simple. It shows you. Its numbers don't lie. If you sell something for $40 and it takes $35 to create it, you only got $5,
Yeah,
and it's not even
exactly.
yours.
And you made less than minimum wage
Right? And,
because you didn't count the time you put in.
right? And it's not even yours because you've got admin happening. You've got something else you paid for. You've got taxes.
Exactly.
So,
Overhead, the light, the water.
bye bye. You either gonna keep that thing and say I have to sell it for $85, $65, whatever that thing that you got to sell it for to be profitable,
Mm-hmm.
or that's not the item for you. That's not the thing that you want to do. That's not a good business model for you. You got
Mm-hmm.
to know your profit margin. That's why it's important. You got to, it tells you if you're winning or you're losing. That's
Mm-hmm.
it. And I always like to refer to people who still in work because I want to know, I don't want to leave you out of this equation. If you're going to work and you got a job, I'm not telling you to quit your job, but the time you take to go to work is 2.5 hours, and 2.5 hours to come back. That's 5 hours plus 8 hours. Please count for me. You know the time. That is 13 hours of work. Are you being paid for that? If not, you need to look for something closer to home, remotely, whatever you need to do. I'm not saying get out of the job market, but I'm telling you, you got to work with mixed strength. And here's why. It's not good for you, and it's certainly not good for your employer and the people that working around you, because you
Mm-hmm.
become miserable. Traveling is a job on its own. It tires you out. It frustrates you. It takes away your energy. You're depleted when by the time you get into work. And when you come back home, you're stinking mad because you've done 8 hours and now 2.5 back. And you get in there and you don't want nobody to talk to you. You don't want to do none. And if you start a business, it's going downhill because you're frustrated and upset.
Mm-hmm.
Not because it can't be done, but because you're going to have to figure out how to make this all work together. All right. Is knowing your industry important? It is. You got to know things that you might not want to know. You know, when I had my pajamas business, for example,
Mm-hmm.
there's things about the clothing industry that I hated and things I enjoyed. The part where I was bottling this one case at one point where making kids pajamas, and they had to be fire retarded. So I had to have the pajamas sprayed, and I hated the chemicals for it. I also hated that once the clothes was washed, it was not protected anymore. So the thing that I'm preventing and could cause problem with the kid is also the stupid thing that once it washed, it's gone. And I have to spend money to get this done because I can't spray it in my house, or I have to buy the fabric that tells me as such. But once it's tested, if it's not upgraded, I could be shut down. And
Mm-hmm.
I battled that in my business for a long time because it also made my pajamas, as expensive as they were, because they were designer pajamas and people buy them for a lot of great occasion. It also meant I had to sell them more expensively because I needed to have this code happening, and we had to be certified, and was a whole process. And you need to know these sort of stuff because I didn't know it until I knew. Let me just tell you. And it took over 6 months in verifying, certifying, going through the processes, researching. You
Wow.
gotta go through government applications and response. Like, I literally need to walk myself through all this stuff before I could be on the market, so that when these questions come with me, I could say, yes, here's what I have, here's what I do. I also had a line of stuffed animals called Sleepy Buddy. And to stuff it at a certain capacity, I also had to be certified. There's money that I paid yearly to keep my certification in place, to make sure I have the right stuff in it. There's so many things that people don't discuss when then certain things are even realized.
Yes.
So when you know all these stuff, you get to really understand where you fit into your industry.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to be an expert in your industry for your own sake and then your customer's sake, because you get to talk to them about things. You get to tell them what is what. For instance, when you stuff a certain stuffed animal shouldn't be on the bed with kids. It's suffocation hazards. And you might want it to be there. It's good information to be able to tell your customer. They'll appreciate it. And I got to learn all those things. Initially, I didn't like it. I'm going to sit there and say, because so much to read and to do and to pass the exam, really, in a sense, to be able to be certified and your product go through rigorous inspection before they say yes, because it's a small business. So it's not a factory they can come check. So you have to go. That's why you have to keep renewing so that you're on the ball doing all the things you say you're going to do. And then randomly they'll send for, one of your pieces to see if you're following code. And you got like 24 hours. Mine used to be a 48 hours sending situation. And I was passed, but it still was nerve wracking when I sent it for inspection, And I'm saying all this to say it's important to know what you're dealing with and what you're doing, to know what you could and cannot do. And everybody's situation is different, but I always encourage people, you start, you got a great idea, but the things you don't know, go find out, learn, or get an expert to help you muddle through the processes.
Now, see, that's what I was going to say, because you don't know what you don't know.
That you don't know.
You don't know what question to ask, because you don't know what's required. So
Exactly. One of the other big things I learned too with that same Pacific business is that when there's a show happening and you attend the show, you can only depend on the organizer, publicity and marketing. Your job as a small business owner is to have your own little marketing and your own publicity, have PR happening, and your own whatever you need to have going so that you're driving traffic to the community, but also to your booth. A lot of small business owners don't realize that. When they go to a show, their main focus is, well, the organizer is going to send us people, so we're good. But they send you so much people. Yes, imagine how many people they have marketing. So their marketing as a whole, you want to have the people come to you who's interested in those things, the people who come into you. And I didn't know this. Again, I had to learn this, And when I get the right customers, they don't buy one pajamas. They buy for their kids, their grandkids, the niece and the nephew. And you would think it's wholesale. I had a woman stop and buy 4 pajamas, came right back and buy another 4. She's like, this is good quality. I just love it to give us gifts. At the time, I didn't have a website, wanted a website so she can go and buy, because she came from 2 provinces away from Toronto. So for her, this was gold. And had I known that sort of stuff, I would have sold more, even though I did a really good job in sales for, the 3 weeks. When I started learning that you got to market you before you get there, this was such a big deal. And with all the other things I talked about before, because I'm up to par in understanding these things, I could have that conversation with her. We could talk through whatever questions she had for me. And if I didn't know, I could easily say, here's where you can go get the rest of the information, if you want about this and that. So you want to know your industry, you want to know what's going on, you want to know, and you want to get somebody who's in the expert department if you don't know, so that you can learn and pay them, because they went through a lot of schooling to tell you this.
yes, yeah.
And I had people who said to me, why would you pay, especially the lady who did my stuffed animal stuff, when she came to me to the booth, she goes, you're going to hear a lot of people say don't pay me because you can do it yourself. I'm glad I paid her. I'm glad I listened to her. She walked me through.
Because they can. What you're doing is you're paying to avoid a lot of the costly mistakes that people have already paid for.
Thank you.
So you can, pay for your own lesson, which is going to be a lot more expensive, or you can buy that experience and that expertise from someone who's already learned that lesson and paid for it.
Exactly. And we also want to make sure I covered, because I'm trying to get into my story. So we cover different types of profit margins. The first is the operating costs. You got to know what it takes to operate your business. This is why I'm going to write back to budgeting I talk about all the time. You got to know your monies, where it come from, where it goes, and all that sort of stuff. You have to have operating costs. It has to be there. It has to be ongoing. The hardest part for business is cash flow, having money in the business to do what a business is supposed to do. I'll go deep into that a little later. Gross profit margin, knowing how much money is it together, revenue, gross, that's what that is. And then the net, when everything comes out of it, what left over is the net. Operating costs is those two, the gross and the net. Most people know, and if you don't know, I just don't. But the operating profits margin is one of the tricky ones with new business owners and even seasoned ones. Once you get into that comfortable part that I talk about initially, where you're at this number, you're making money, it's making sense to you. But at the end of the day, you might say, "But my business is making money, but I never have any money." Or my business is making money, but the business is always running short of money. It's I heard something the other day through one of my networking spaces where this guy hadn't paid his employees for like, I don't know, 6 weeks or 8 weeks. He couldn't pay them. He just couldn't pay them. It's not because he wanted to not pay them, but he needed to get things audited. He needed his accountant to get in there, the bookkeeper. It was a mess. It was just a mess because he wasn't keeping up with his numbers. He wasn't keeping up, understanding how the business run. And I kind of feel for the guy and sad for the employees at the same time, because I get it. I get it. You get excited. You got a business. It's doing great. And here's a couple of things I think happen. Checks delayed, as a business owner, you deal with that sort of stuff. And people say, well, why do people just put money right away? Big companies go through 30 days, 45 days stuff. I've got a couple of companies. So that happens to me at times. Like, I've got a couple of checks outstanding as we speak, but we're taking care of it. But this stuff happens because it's a big company. And so sometimes you don't get directly to the person. So I have to send stern letters. I don't like doing it, but I've got a framework for them now. I'm like, you've passed your 30 days. This is going to be, 2% on what you owe me. We don't want to be going through this monthly because your cost is going to go up. And because I know numbers, I literally talk like that to them. I'm like, here's what you tell your bookkeeper. Here's what you want to have happen because you don't want to keep paying me. And then I'll send them a breakdown of how much it's going to cost the company for the year because of late payment to me. I get my checks quickly because nobody wants to be paying that extra money. But I'm able to explain to them that if you pay me late lots of times, instead of paying me, let's say, $5,000, you're going to be paying me for the year an extra $5,000 because you've been late so many times. And most managers or general managers, they're in charge of budget, so they don't want that. So they'll go in and fight for my money so that I am not out. And when you're a small business owner, even though you don't have all these different steps with managers and general managers, you may not, but you might be entrusted in somebody else to just look after that. But your job is to also be aware of your numbers. You can't just leave it to your accountant and bookkeeper. That's what they're supposed to do. I get it. But your job is to understand your money. Understand what's happening. They're going to give you information. I'm sure they send it your way. I'm sure you're busy. And if it's not your forte, it's not something you really want to do, but it's something you must do and you have to do. You have to pay attention. That $1, $2, and $5 adds up really quickly. Really, really quickly. And it doesn't seem that way. That's why I tell people all the time, you could save an itty bitty bit of money. And once you get a certain thing, you invest it, you shock yourself at what happens at the end of the year. And vice versa. So it's the other way, it's a slippery slope. The same little bit of money that would add up when you're not paying attention, it loses, it goes down. It's gone down the drain, you wash away. So when that happens, there's no cash flow. So then there's not enough money in there. There's too much outstanding bills. There's too much debt happening over here. He needed to close the ranks. He needed to figure out what needs to happen so people could be paid on time. So people will trust the company to work for them. People won't go look for other employment. People wouldn't think that he's a boss that only want people to work and not pay, which is hard. There's the sneaky people, but most time it's not true. It's just that they don't know. They mightn't have had the right advisors,
Wow. Okay.
I did stop so what? I get into my
no. I'm just listening. It makes sense. It makes sense. Yeah.
And so
Whew.
we gotta pay attention to that. We really closely gotta pay attention to that. I guess in that middle of thing, I love it. Our little space there. I don't want it to be messy, so I like to set it up for people. And when people coach with me, if they're in that spot, if in a place where I really take the reins of taking everything and just dissecting it and setting up systems and explaining it to them in the simplest forms. It might look like it's a lot of stuff that we're doing when we first doing it, but there's a lot of stuff we're doing. But it's a lot of work that happens, a lot of work that I go away and do. And then I have to break it down very simple and come back to the client and say, this is what I want you to do. This is what I want you to do for this period of time. Because what I'm really forcing them to do is to train their brain to understand when they see this, instead of panicking, drink some water and come back and look at this line. If you get excited over here that I sell 25 sweatpants, that is great. Get excited. But don't forget that if I sell 25 sweatpants and the 25 sweatpants, I made $50 on each sweatpants, you didn't really make $50. You made $50, yes, in revenue. But here's the other things that has to happen. And sometimes people forget that. I had somebody come to me, wanted to make sweatpants. And actually they said to me, look, I want to set up this sweatpant business, this tracksuit business. I want it to be customized. And they, give me the whole shebang. And so once I asked them a few questions, they were just like feeling back. I'm like, if you have no money and you want to start, I understand drop shipping. I don't know it to the fullest. I'm not gonna lie about that, but I get the gist of it. But you need at least $2,000 to start you off, because even though people say it's free, it's not true. You need to get the testers to you. You need to pay for those shipments. You need to inspect it. If it's not good, you need to send it back. It can cost you to send it back. The people who do well understand there's a process before they get to it. If you just pick up product and you just sell it to people and a lot of returns happen because you didn't go through that processes, you will lose a lot of money before you start making any sort of money. And so I'm back to this dream that people sell you. I know it's fascinating. It's not true. Sorry. I know it's exciting. I like it too from my heart. My heart get excited with it. But it's not true.
It's not true. Oh my gosh.
Business is a lot of work. It's a lot of fun work, but it's a lot of work. You could enjoy it. I tell people you could be working, doing anything, and you can find joy in it. I talked to this lady a time, my mom and my kids, we went out to eat, and she'd pick up the garbage, pick up all the food. She was in the food court. And we were talking about, because she was singing it up and she was just clearing tables. I was saying to her, oh my God, I'm so happy that I find somebody so happy and enjoying life. And we get to talk, and she said, my break is coming up. I said, come sit with us. And my daughter's like, Mom, I'm like, let her come sit with us. And we're talking. And she's like, girl, I thank God that I got the job. So what am I going to complain about? This is what I was employed to do, and she did something else on the side. And just knowing that when you're there, that's what you do. That's it for business too. When you're there, that's what you do. If today is the day that you're creating like me content, you create content. If you're teaching, you teach. I take coming on the Biz Chicks very seriously. So I research, I set myself up. I plan 3 months ahead of time. So June, July, August, we're in August. So August is coming to an end. I'm looking forward to September, October, November. That's next on my jacket to start preparing content for getting ready to talk to you guys. I take my teaching, this masterclass, every Wednesday very seriously. This is what I do for half an hour, and this is the work I'm putting in for it. It takes way more than half an hour to put in this work.
Yes, it does.
But I would tell Biz Chicks, I'm done if I can't bring quality work, period. That's what I base myself on, my life on, producing quality things, no matter product or services. So that's what you do. And you get in there and you do it. And as I say, take walks, drink water, go to the bathroom, wash your face, do up your hair, put on a nice dress, do whatever it takes to get yourself in the mood. I had to talk to me because after I was sick for so long and I revived back, I was finding myself in my car, where's your work clothes? Because I got work clothes. I got house clothes. I get out of my work clothes. I get into my house clothes. Then I cook dinner, take a shower, go for my walk, do that sort of thing. I do when I work from home. I just want you to know, I call myself, I'm the work from home queen because I've been doing it for so many years, but I still have work clothes. I got dress clothes. I got home clothes. Because when I'm in my home clothes, I get relaxed and I don't do as much work. I feel like I don't have to do anything. If I lie in my bed, much stuff don't get done. I admire the people who could do it in me. I gotta be at my desk in my work clothes. I
Mhm.
don't wear
Mhm.
heels or anything, but my earrings, I might just wear lip gloss and my hair is combed and I am dressed for work. So when I sign off work, I could be off work. And no, I put in work. One of the biggest things also I want to tell you, even though we're talking about profit margins here, this leads to those sort of things though. This really do. When you put in a full day's work,
Mhm.
I don't care if it's 4 hours, 2 hours, or 6 hours, or eight. When you put in a full day's work, your being is so satisfied that you were productive. That when you leave to go home, whether it's in your home, you are satisfied so you could actually be in home. Children, grandchildren, husband, nobody, friends, anybody, you can be there. You're not worried that I wish I had finished this because you actually put in the time. When you don't put in the time, that's why your mind is calling you back. The
Ah,
mind is calling you back because it's unsatisfied. You know, I would never know, Terry would never know, but you know you didn't do what you say you were supposed to do because you weren't as important. So you didn't do it for you and you left. So part of you is calling you back to finish it. So you're absent with the people you really want to hang with.
mm.
They don't know it. You're just there half away, quarter away. You can't focus. Because like if I had only write that paragraph, tomorrow I wouldn't have to do it. Trust me. I've been there. That's what I can say. All right, guys. Today we talked about why profit margin was important. I'm putting it together here for you guys. You got to know your industry. I explain why it's important and the different types of profit margin. And for the next 2 weeks, we're going to keep talking about it. It's important stuff.
This is very important stuff. Really important, and and it is not a difficult conversation. It's just an unusual conversation that we're not. Let me put this way: an unfamiliar conversation
Conversation.
for us, and
Yes,
so
yes.
we need to be talking to you so that we can understand it better and get more comfortable with having conversations around it.
Yeah. So you know it because when somebody said I make $10,000 a month, ask them, so what was your net? What's your
Mhm.
growth? What was your operating cost? Because sometimes people can't even explain it to you. They just want to tell you that they make $10,000.
Exactly.
And if it went back into inventory, they didn't really make any money.
True. This is so true. Especially if it took them 20,000 to make 10. They
Yes.
don't want to explain that they're really 10K down after all is said and done,
Right.
after it's done and dusted. Wow. Well, guys, you heard it here from Coach Caren. If you're looking to connect with Coach Caren, you can find her on the web at Profits in Daily.
Yes.
She has a Facebook group. She's also on Instagram, and you can find her on the web. If not, give us a call here at Biz Chicks. We'll help you find Coach Caren. Okay. Okay. And for those of you who are looking to join Biz Chicks, you can simply text Biz to 33777 and join our Heartbeat community. We'd
Mm,
love to share with others what you do and help you run a profitable business that's fun to run. Also,
mhm.
you can reach us at bizchicks.net. It will also lead you to our community. We here at BizChicks can help you find the money in your business. If you're not making money in your business, you need to talk to us. We can help you identify where that hidden money is and
Mm.
how to get to it. So, with that, we want to remind you that tomorrow we'll be talking with um, Mama Chamizu and friends about happy, healthy habits because you can't keep your wealth if you don't have your health. So, come on in, join us. Coach Caren, we just want to thank you
Oh, you're
so much
welcome.
for taking the time out of your busy day to lend your expertise. Guys, I'm telling you, you can either buy your own lesson or you can get it at a discount from Coach Caren from the lessons that she's already learned. So, with that, we want to remind you that it's okay to make money in your business.
Mm.
So, go to the front of your
Front of your
own
own
line.
line.
Have a great day. Bye bye. Thanks, Coach.
You're
Bye
welcome.
bye, everyone.